And a very good evening, everyone. Rich DeMarco here with you on our first ever Army men's and women's lacrosse coaches show, as it's a big week for the Black Knights. We're live on Facebook Live here from the balcony of the Foley Enters Nathy Lacrosse Center, just adjacent to Mikey Stadium. And what a week for the Army men's and women's lacrosse teams coming up. First off, we'll be joined by women's head coach Michele Tumolo, doing a terrific job in her first year here at West Point. Coming up a little bit later on, we will catch up with Army men's lacrosse coach Joe Alberici. We mentioned it's a huge week coming up on Saturday at noon. Operation Max Out Mikey. Right behind us here at Mikey Stadium, it'll be Army men's lacrosse taking on Navy. That's a noon start time. And coming up at 2:30 in Annapolis, it'll be the Army women's team taking on the Midshipmen. 2 stars on the line. Should be lots of fun, and we're happy all of you have taken some of your time to spend with us here. As we mentioned, our first men's and women's lacrosse coaches show, and you'll have a chance to get involved tonight. Drop your questions in the comments section of Facebook Live. We'll get to as many as we can tonight. Well, first off, Michele Tumolo, our first-year head coach for the Army women's lacrosse program. Michele, thanks for spending some time being part of tonight's show.
Thank you for having me. So excited.
So this week, it's so special, and I'd say a brisk start to it here on a Monday night. How do you feel with your team heading into this week?
I feel great. Obviously, three losses in a row after 10 wins in a row. But nothing more motivating than coming into an Army-Navy week, and especially for the first time with our staff. We're more than excited, and, we're 0-5 against them. So we have a lot on the line, but more than confident and more than proud of this team and the way they've been working this year.
Your first Army-Navy experience, of course, Michele, such a decorated player at Syracuse, a tremendous coaching career at Wagner before coming here to West Point. What have you known about, been aware of Army-Navy? Obviously, this a new rivalry with Army beginning women's lacrosse just a few years ago. What have been your impressions, I guess, from afar of Army-Navy before coming here to West Point?
Yeah, it means everything to this place. No, it's just an incredible history behind it. I know years after years, I've always turned it on. The football game every year, you would see, both cadets and the midshipmen in the stands cheering for their team louder than ever. And then, of course, when, Army got a women's lacrosse team, the
Sure.
last five meetings, it would have been 6, but due to COVID, they lost that year. It's been something to watch. I think everyone in the country, even if you're a lacrosse fan or not, is watching Army-Navy, whatever sport it is. So I feel more than honored to be a part of it. And it's something greater than itself. It's obviously a game, but these players, they're incredible young women. So for me to be able to lead them is just something, I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Oh, tremendous week and a tremendous game coming up on Saturday. If you see me checking my phone, I mean no disrespect, because that's how we're getting our fans involved, our listeners, our watchers tonight. Ask questions, drop them in the comment section here on Facebook Live. We'll get to as many as we can. Absolutely. So you just get them in there. We're going to get to as many questions. So I have some written out here. See, instead of paper and a phone, I just have everything on the phone. So that I just go from the text to the questions. Okay, so coming into this year, obviously, Caroline Raymond's done so much for this program, right? A career scoring record. And, she's been a little banged up this year, 10-game winning streak, and other players stepping up. How special was that run? And maybe what is, as a team takes its personality, what did that show you, teach you about this group?
Yeah, starting with Caroline, obviously an incredible talent and one that'll go down in history, right, after Jackie Bratton. But with injuries, you need people to fill in spots. But, Kathleen Sullivan, Jolie Rydell, Julia G., we call her Julia G., but Julia Garayek, among so many others have stepped up. And I think it's just been a great opportunity for them to show their talents. Maybe some of them hadn't gotten minutes in the years before. And our staff has done such a great job to develop players and develop the confidence, and it comes with, more playing, and throughout the season they gain more chemistry, and I just couldn't be more proud for those players to step up. But yeah, Caroline's incredible. Love to watch her play, love to coach her, and excited for her to be, feeling better this week.
So you mentioned Kathleen Sullivan, and this is going to be a big game for her, right? So she's from Annapolis. So what's the conversation? First of all, what has she meant to your group this year, and how special is that, her going back to her hometown?
So much. She's a very amazing human being. She makes us laugh. She goes 110% in practice every day. And she's the type of player that's tough to guard because she's not just scoring, but she's also assisting the ball. When you have someone that can, dish out assists and make plays like her, it makes an offense more dangerous. So for her to be able to go back to her hometown, I always get really excited to see when people choose Army over Navy, especially when they live in Annapolis or right around the Naval Academy. I feel really special to be her coach and really honored to be her coach, but she is a key part of our offense. She's the quarterback.
Army women's lacrosse at Navy, 2:30 on Saturday. That game televised by CBS Sports Network. We have our first question from Facebook Live tonight. It is from Erica. So, Michele, Erica wants to know, what have been some of the biggest highlights since being the coach at West Point?
Oh, how do I name just one?
You can go a lot of directions there.
Well, one, just getting on posts here in the beginning of the year, and meeting so many new people and so many incredible people that have been a part of this place for a long time, or newer people, and just learning the way of West Point and the Army. But again, also meeting my team and learning who they are as people, getting my staff here and creating this culture that we feel that has helped us win. And just being a family, truly. This is a family away from my family, and this place has welcomed us with open arms, and feel lucky for my wife and I to feel just so at home here, and to learn just the greatness of the cadets. And I'm so honored to be their leader, but again, to just be a part of this team. They're incredible young women, and they've been doing a lot of great things on the field.
I'm always intrigued on the breadcrumbs, the success leaving clues, I like to say. Your time at Wagner and, working with that program, bringing them to a competitive point, a very competitive point. What are maybe the biggest things you learned and took from your time at Wagner that you were able to integrate here at West Point?
Yeah, I played at such a high level with Syracuse and also with Team USA, and I coached alongside some of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time, and Gary Gade and Katrina Dowd at Oregon, and at Florida too. That was my first coaching job, so I learned a lot, and I was a sponge, and I wanted to learn so much. So when I went from being an assistant coach at great schools that are huge athletic departments and have all this money, to then a Wagner that really doesn't have much, and then may not be on the map. I wanted to take a program that maybe someone didn't know much about and take them to the next level, and a lot of that just is belief and hard work and doing the little things when no one's looking. So I had a team that did those things. I was lucky enough to win a championship in the first year as the head coach there, but I have to thank the people that came before me. Katie Rowan that coached there before. We all come from the same tree, and being a part of Syracuse is something I will always be grateful for, because it's taught me so much.
Women's lacrosse, such a growing sport by virtue of Army adding a program just a few years ago. How close is that tree? You mentioned it.
Yeah, it's so close. It's so funny because obviously Katrina and I coached at Oregon, right?
Sure.
She coached me at Syracuse. I then followed footsteps of Katie Rowan, who, you know what I mean? It just all comes together. And when Katrina and I were out at Oregon, and we separated after that, I knew she had to be my first call to come back here. And as much as she might not be an Orange, she went to Northwestern, I still knew that she had that Syracuse blood in her, and I had to bring her here. And then, of course, Ella Simpkins, who went to Syracuse as well. The coaching tree is so strong, especially in the women's lacrosse world. So I'm lucky to have them on the sideline with me, and coaching the amazing cadets here.
And you and I got to catch up before the season via Zoom, Teams. I forget which program it actually was, but exactly, I think it was Zoom though. What attracted you about the Army job? And I love that question. I just for our fans listening tonight, when you're there at Wagner, you're winning, you have this history as a player at the highest level. What attracted you when you saw the Army West Point job had opened?
It's Army, right? Let's go.
We appreciate our fans here tonight. A very strong contingent cheering us on. But, it really sticks out to someone like you who's played at the highest level.
Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing that stuck out to me was the challenge. Yeah. I knew that this place was something different, and I knew that this was going to teach me a lot of life lessons. I wasn't just going to come in here and be this, this big lacrosse player. I am, just this lacrosse coach that is among so many people that have put their lives at risk and have served our country. So for me to be able to be, this coach here is just an honor of a lifetime, and surrounded by such great people.
So you talk about that tree being so tight, small, however you want to put it. So you're widely regarded, one of the best, if not the best, women's lacrosse player of all time. You'll face now your coaching matchup on Saturday, Cindy Timschel. She's regarded maybe as one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coach of all time. What's your relationship with her, and how do you feel going into this matchup?
Our relationship may have changed the second I got this job. No, I couldn't respect Cindy Timschel more. I respect her with everything. She has taught some of the greatest players and coaches. If you think about it, Gary Gate, Acacia, Kelly Monte, all these players that you see winning national championships, they come from Cindy. So for me to be able to be on the sideline next to her and battling against her is amazing. But I just couldn't respect her more. She has done so much for this program, or sorry, this lacrosse,
sport,
the sport, and. But no, I definitely think our relationship may have changed when I got the Army job. She may have been a little mad at me, maybe not talking to me as much on the recruiting trail. But no, it's all with respect, and I'm really excited for this game against her.
That's tremendous. We're here on our inaugural Army West Point men's and women's lacrosse coaches show. Rich DeMarco here with you on the balcony of the Foley Enners Nathy Lacrosse Center, just adjacent to Mikey Stadium, joined by women's head coach Michele Tumolo. And let's talk about this facility, right? I mean, how beautiful, fills all the needs of a program. Give me the short and sweet about what this is like to have this kind of facility coaching this program.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I'm lucky enough to be out on this balcony, especially when it's sunny.
We're covered today.
We are covered today. Either if it's watching the men's lacrosse play or a football game. But no, it's all about the cadet athletes and our team. They get to come up here. It's a spot to get away from, down the hill and all the challenges that faces, and just a place to be as a team and a family. And it's easy enough to go upstairs and watch film and go in our locker room and watch film down there as well, team meetings, just a space that we have to call home, and it's steps away from my office. So I couldn't be more grateful that they built this in 2017.
I'm being told to check my phone.
Okay.
There's questions
What
that
do
we
we
have.
got?
Okay, let's start with Mark. He wants to know, now we're getting into X's and O's here.
Okay.
He wants to know what's the one area of the game you need to control to beat Navy on Saturday?
Oh, he wants to know. Let's go.
Hey, you don't know. I love it. You got to be careful.
We got to control everything. But no, it starts with the draw. The draw control is so important. If you win the draw, the ball's in your stick, more opportunities on the offensive end, and it's less in Navy stick. So draw controls are going to be huge, and we feel like we have a great game plan going into that.
Chris from West Point wants to know.
That's my boss, everyone.
What gear will you be wearing on the sideline, and what is your preferred headgear?
Ooh, fit check here.
The Michele Tumolo sideline collection, I think, is what we're leading towards.
So I'm a pretty superstitious person, and since we have had a few losses in the past couple weeks, I've been changing up my outfits. Obviously, something really, really clean, and Nike, of course. We got some cool stuff coming in, some personalized stuff that I can't wait to wear.
So there's a secret.
It's a secret. Everyone's going to have to check our Instagram to see it, right? And follow the Instagram. That's
and watch the game. And watch the game.
Yeah, watch the game.
Instagram, Army, West Point Women's Lacrosse on Twitter, Facebook, all your social media channels.
I always have a hat on. And I just always like to look clean and nice, and but all Nike. Looking fresh.
You can almost have the hat that you prefer to wear, and then it could be branded the MT hat or something.
Oh yeah, right? That would be really nice.
Okay, so Jefferson from West Point, and I'm trying to count my zeros here. Jefferson from West Point wants to know if you are, I believe it's 1,000,000% sure you will beat Navy.
1 billion, Jefferson.
I think it was billion, actually. No. Yeah, there are 9 zeros there. I'm a little slow on the math part. You're exactly right.
As much as I'm so excited, I truly believe it. We have to do the work this week, and we have to mentally and physically prepare and emotionally prepare, and just stay humble and hungry. I think that's been our message all year. We obviously know we can do the job, but we have to do the work. We can't just talk the talk. We got to walk the walk. So this week is so important to us to prepare and get our game plan ready, and our cadet athletes make sure they're healthy and ready to go. So I'm excited for it all. It's all preparation.
Michele, just to talk about the off the field experience, you mentioned your family and putting your coaching staff together. One thing that was really special that's gone on with Army women's lacrosse, and really a lot of our athletic teams, our women's teams, was on April 2nd after your game against American here at Mikey Stadium in the Foley Center. Lead her field day, first ever one here at West Point. Tell us about it, and it involved a lot of kids, a lot of sports, a lot of learning, what it meant to be part of that.
What a cool initiative. I was so excited to hear about that. Yeah, to have young girls and young women be able to see the great cadet athletes of our lacrosse team and the women's sports here, it's just really an awesome experience for them. You know, there's a lot of young kids that live on post. For them to be able to talk to them and play a sport and just ask questions and maybe play a sport that they haven't seen, especially lacrosse.
Sure.
I went in there after the game and my eyes lit up and it was fun. I had my best friend here with her baby and he was running around, and obviously he's not a girl, but it was cool to see him be able to interact with the little girls, and hopefully one day he'll be able to, to lead young women the right way. So it's cool. Awesome.
How much is it? And you look at young kids, young girls, and I'm in some meetings where I hear some things that there was I guess pregame part of our marketing initiative, so many around sporting events here, that there was a chalk talk, and generally it's been a cadet or an assistant coach giving, and it was Michele Tumolo gave the chalk talk. So how important are those moments and those touch points for you with young future Black Knights, future women's lacrosse players?
It means everything to me. I didn't play the sport until I was in high school. So I played soccer, basketball, all the above, but not lacrosse. So every chance I get to give back to the community and young kids and just be able to give them some insight. It might not even be an X's and O's or talking about West Point. It's just being happy to play the sport. And when you're happy, you're going to be playing your best. And just gave them some insight on what to do. Go to camps, go to clinics, and learn from everyone. And take as much information and knowledge as you can, and always believe in yourself. Again, just like I said, I didn't start playing lacrosse until later in life, and look where it's led me. So I feel really lucky, and I always love to give back.
So your team this year, and I know we're about 80% of the way through the year, you would say.
2 games left on the team.
It's crazy how quickly it moves. How long does it take and how to feel connected with this team? I watch you out at practice. I mean, this is a family out there. What goes about building that trust, building that camaraderie, and again, the ultimate, building that family?
I feel lucky that I had some time to prepare. We're a spring sport, so we have all fall. And part of the fall is, one, building fundamentals, building that chemistry, building the, sharpening our craft. But the other part of it is becoming a family and doing the little things like team bonding trips and learning, each other's, back history. If you're a plebe or a firstie, it doesn't matter. And having those conversations. So we were lucky enough to have an overnight trip to Anthony Nudo's house, and we were able to have a nice little bonding trip there. And we did really fun challenges, and it made everyone come out of their shell. And I think when you feel comfortable around each other and you really can lift each other up, you're going to be untouchable. So we did all that throughout the fall and into the spring.
And, of course, Michele, the Noto family, head women's lacrosse coach here at West Point. What does that mean? And Anthony, such a great supporter of Army athletics, a big part of women's lacrosse being a sport here, and someone who I think everyone can look up to here at the academy.
I couldn't be more honored to be the Noto family head coach. I get more proud to say it every single time. Anthony, his wife, his kids, every single part of that family, they give so much to us, and we wouldn't be here without you. So if you're watching or if you see this later, thank you so much. I know we text all the time, we talk all the time, but you've given these young women the greatest gifts. So thank you.
Well said. Well said. So Maria wants to know, playing off some of our questions here, Maria wants to know, and again, if you have questions, drop them into the comments section of Facebook Live. I'm reading them off my phone here. Maria wants to know, what are the biggest things high school kids can work to do on their game to get looked at by colleges?
Yeah, just like I said, going to camps and clinics especially where there's clinics where there's multiple college coaches there and you're able to be seen, it's like killing two birds with one stone, right? You go to one clinic where there's 10 plus college coaches, learning from each person at each station and having conversation with them, right? Ask them what you could get better at in that drill, in that moment. Take notes and then go work on it in your backyard, right? If you're doing the work when no one's looking, you're going to be even better. But yeah, soaking in all that knowledge from different coaches is the greatest thing you can do, and go to all camps and clinics. Also a plug to come to our camp June 27th through June 29th here at West Point. Hopefully we'll get a ton of kids coming here, and really looking forward to it.
That's tremendous. What's the schedule for the week? Travel down to Annapolis? How's the whole How's the whole trip going to look?
Yeah, so we will leave Friday morning, get on the road, about 4.5-hour drive, let's hope, and get on the field at 1, get a nice practice in. But before that, we have a ton of practice scheduled and also film review. Navy plays on Wednesday, so what's better than a live scout, right? So they play American at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, so we'll be watching that and taking our own notes and doing what we got to do.
Well, Michele, it has been an absolute pleasure
you.
having you tonight
Same.
on this show. This is tremendous. We have to do this again.
You tell me. Let's do coffee with Michele.
Let's do that. Right? Yeah, we can. And maybe we can get it sponsored, right? I mean, I think we got some opportunities here.
What do you think, Mike? You think so? All right.
Mike,
you have to come then.
How about the support we have from the athletic department here tonight? Isn't it amazing?
See, really amazing.
Thank you for taking your time, right? Evening, right? Could be with their families, spending time with us.
I feel very, very lucky.
Michele, it's been awesome.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what, best of luck on Saturday, 2:30 p.m., Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium in Annapolis, Army, Navy, women's lacrosse for the Star. Michele, best of luck.
Thank you so much. Go Army.
Michele Tumolo, the Noto family women's lacrosse coach here at West Point. Coming up in a couple of minutes, we'll be joined by the head coach of the Army men's lacrosse team. That's Joe Alberici. We'll talk a lot about Operation Max Out Mikey on Saturday. Army men's lacrosse taking on Navy. We'll be back on our Army men's and women's lacrosse show in just a moment.
Whoa!
Welcome back here on our first ever Army West Point men's and women's lacrosse coaches show. Rich DeMarco here with you, now joined by the head coach of the number 5 team in Inside Lacrosse, number 6 team in the USILA coaches poll, the head coach of the Army men's lacrosse team. How about a big welcome to Joe Alberici. Joe, welcome. Coming off the huge win on Saturday against Cornell.
Thanks, Rich. Thanks for having me.
So we're here on our first ever show balcony of the Fen Center, as they call it here. And I tell you, big one coming up Saturday, right? Operation Max Out Mikey. Go ArmyWestPoint.com/tickets. We're trying to pack as many people as we can, as many Army fans in here as we can on Saturday as the Black Knights take on Navy. Joe, always a special week for you. I know you're sprinted over here from practice. What's the mood like right now in this week?
Yeah, I think there's a mixture of excitement and a little bit of anxiety with all of our guys, which is exactly where you'd want them to be. The anxiety comes from caring. The
Sure.
guys care quite a bit, and we know this is the biggest one of the season for us. So we're just focused on our preparation and trying to keep the main thing. And as long as we can keep focused on that, all of that goes around the game and enjoy those parts of the game, but keep the main thing, I think we're going to be in good place.
We're glad to have you here on Facebook Live. If you have a question for Coach Alberici, just drop them into the comments section. We'll get to as many as we can here on tonight's show. So Army and Navy, first time it's been at Michele Stadium since 2018 because the 2020 game was canceled due to COVID-19. What kind of excitement for your players, for you? So a lot of your players, it's the first time they're going to be facing Navy here at Michele Stadium.
Yeah, for all of them, it's the first time in Michele Stadium, and we're blessed to have this facility. We think it's the very finest lacrosse facility in the country, and so all that the administration is doing to help pack it and put a great number of fans in the seats. It's going to be a game like none other. It's a college lacrosse game that's unmatched in terms of its rivalry, intensity, and in terms of its attendance also.
No doubt, and hoping for a great attendance. Should be great attendance coming up here on Saturday. Make sure you come out. Operation Max Out Mikey on Saturday. Let's start with really what's on the top of everyone's mind, and that's the win on Saturday on the road at Cornell, a top 10 team, top 5 team. You go on the road, control that game from the start. There was really never any surge from Cornell to come back in that game. Your evaluation of the performance, did anything surprise you and how you went about it, really surgically picking up that win on the road?
Yeah, I anticipated us playing very well. We had a great week of practice. I thought we matched up well with Cornell. I thought the belief that our guys had in what we were doing and in each other set us up to be very competitive. There's no way that I could have predicted that that sort of 7-0,
Sure.
15-5, whatever it was throughout parts of the game. I don't think anybody would have, but it was definitely our most complete performance of the year. From a defensive perspective, I thought we played very well individually and as well as a group. Got tremendous goaltending from Wyatt Schupler. Our face-off game, Will Coletti sets a school record, 105 years of lacrosse,
Sure.
and nobody has ever picked up more ground balls than he had as a freshman. So at any year, but he does it as a freshman, and then offensively, 10 different goal scorers. Rich, that's a hard team to beat when you can hit them from a lot of different areas.
And let's talk about one of those goal scorers. Love always the story within the story, right? The game within the game. Ryan Spacito, 3 goals. His grandfather's Richie Moran. He was a Cornell legend, 3-time NCAA champion. Ryan is a native of Ithaca. That had to be as special as you could have in a kind of game like that.
Yeah, a little bit more to that backstory. I mean, Ryan was in the lineup early in the season, and then he kind of fell out of the
Sure.
lineup and was working his tail off on the scout team, and right prior to the Colgate game, I grabbed him and let him know he's back in the lineup, and I said, hey, it's not what the other guys aren't doing, it's what you're doing on the scout team that's putting you back in it, and played well against Colgate, and then he goes in front of the whole family on Easter weekend with his grandpa, who's in struggling health right now, but was able to come and see. And Rich, I know for those who don't know a lot about lacrosse, I mean, Coach Moran, if you had a Mount Rushmore of college lacrosse coaches, Coach Moran would be right there. Just a legendary guy who built that Cornell program. And for Ryan to be running around on Show Call Field and then score a hat trick, it's just a storybook. And as I'm saying it to you right now, I got chills.
No doubt.
It just is a really special moment. And, I'm just so happy that the whole Spacito family got to see it, and Ryan played so well in that moment.
Absolutely. If you have questions for Army men's lacrosse coach Joe Alberici, drop them into the comments section on Facebook. We'll get to as many as we can tonight. Joe, just want to go back to Will Coletti, and you mentioned ground balls. And what kind of impact a face-off specialist like that can have on a game? That's a unique position. That's what they do, right? How is that a game changer for you?
Yeah, well, I probably many of the guests are a little more familiar with basketball.
Sure.
It would be akin to, in a basketball game, after every bucket having a jump ball. So if you've got a 7-footer that's winning the tip every time, you get possession every time, and Will was able to do that against a very good face-off guy at Cornell. So it really helps us to tilt the field downhill. We are playing downhill throughout, an opportunity to gain momentum, stack possessions on top of possessions, and with the offense that was playing so well and clicking so well, we become a very tough team to beat when Will is playing at that level.
When you talk about Army lacrosse this year, a lot of folks will say Brendan Nichtern, right? That's where the conversation begins. For how great as he is, and just talking to some folks, is he actually underrated or maybe not talked about as much as he should be, considering how great he is nationally when you compare him against his peers?
Well, I think he's been a 3-time All-American, sure. And so he's been
somehow though not talked about.
Exactly. Yeah, listen, there's a lot of fifth years out there, so there's a lot of kids who are playing their fifth year, and it's particularly at that position at attack. There's a lot of great players, so sometimes he becomes one of those guys. But I would maintain that there's nobody that's had a greater impact on a team than Brendan's had on us. Certainly, you see it on Saturdays and what he does for us in his point totals. But you start to go a little bit behind it, and the leadership that he provides, the quarterback on the field, sure. The way he emboldens other players, the confidence that he has really shifts to, he's able to project that onto other players. And they say great players play great, but elite players make other players great. And Brendan is certainly an elite player and one of the finest to ever wear an Army lacrosse uniform.
I mean, he'll go down as you said, one of the greats in Army men's lacrosse. So you've had traditionally very strong defensive teams. Yeah, the goalie position, Schupler. What is there some force multiplication back there with your defense and having a strong goalie and being able to really change that unit, evolve that unit?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, Wyatt is in his third year of as a starter for us, so he's continued to evolve. The first year it was about, hey, how about we just stop the ball, and he did a fabulous job of that in the COVID shortened season. The following year, he kind of added the
sure.
clearing game and gave us a lot there. And now this year, he's also become a big voice on the defensive team. And there's, when you're playing defense in any sport, certainly in ours, it's a lot about trust.
Sure.
You got to trust the guy to your right and left, and making sure that they'll make the plays. Then you also got to trust your goalie, that if you were to give up this type of shot, that he's going to make the save. And Wyatt does that and has done that time and again, and as well as takes a few off the board that otherwise would have gone in on maybe a regular goalie.
Joe, traditionally, and we just mentioned it, you've had defensive-driven teams, you might say. With the offense you've produced this year, how different has it been? Does it affect how you coach, how you put these guys in position?
Well, there's been some defenses that we've had here, and maybe some struggles on offense where each goal felt like a touchdown. Like you
7-4 game is
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, you remember those. You go back far enough. Our offensive coordinator Justin Ward laughs about some of those 5-4s, 7-4, 4-3. And I've always maintained I don't care how we win. If it's 17-16 or 6-5, whatever it takes on that day to win. And I think our defense is a bit of more of a work in progress. So we had a lot of guys returning on the offensive end. Defensively, there's a lot of new faces. Jack Wygant didn't start the season with us. He had a broken elbow, and then Deacon Donaldson goes down with an injury, and then Brian Lehman is down for a little bit. So we've just had all of these changes defensively. Our short stick DMs have been the constant, and as well as Wyatt, and then AJ Pilot has really come on the scene and has given us a big boost down there.
So we got questions here on Facebook Live. Anyone has a question, drop them into the comment section. We'll get to as many as we can here on tonight's show. So I was soft on you. This is going to put you on the spot a little bit. Matthew wants to know, where does Brendan Nickturn rank in terms of the most talented players you've ever coached?
Yeah, it's a great question. I had spent 9 years at Duke University, and there's
Sure.
a lot of great players there. But I would just tell you this: if of all the players that coach, and we had a starting attack, Brendan would certainly be on that. He is a unique talent and a unique competitor, and one of the finest that I've ever had that opportunity to coach.
Next question comes from Tom. He wants to know, what have you seen from Navy on film so far this year?
Yeah, Navy is a competitive team. I think it's going to be, without a doubt, the biggest challenge that we've had on the ground. In the ground ball game, they are very physical on the ground. They've got a All-American defenseman in Bonitz. Jackson Bonitz is one of the terrific players. Their midfield, their first midfield, can play with anybody. Those three kids that they put out there are outstanding. So we've got a big time challenge in front of us. They've been dealing with injuries in and out, so I'm not sure who's going to be here next Saturday, but we're counting on all of them, and it will be a formidable team and a very well coached team.
Operation Max Out Mikey. Get your tickets. Go ArmyWestPoint.com/tickets. Call 877-TIX-ARMY. Want as many Army fans as we can here inside of Mikey Stadium, a place the Navy lacrosse team hasn't seen since 2018. But we think Xavier Arline had a game out here in December of 2020 when he was with the Navy football team, of course, won by Army 15-0 as the Black Knights took that one. We talked about it earlier. How much pride is it for you guys to play this game here on Saturday?
Yeah, no question about it. It's Rich, I would refer to it as a forever game. It's just a forever game, and if you're victorious, it's victorious everlasting. So there's a lot to it, and again, there's going to be some great memories made on that day, and but in order to do that, it's just going to be about the fundamentals, and going back to what I said at the very beginning, making the main thing, and the main thing is for us to be playing at our very best, because it's going to take our very best to win.
No doubt about that. The Patriot League, one of the top conferences in men's lacrosse in the country. Josh wants to know, what do you think about the Patriot League as a whole and how the conference stacks up with other leagues?
Yeah, well, I'd start with there's some great players in the Patriot League, and there has been for years now. Loyola has kind of been a little bit of the standard bearer for years with it, and continues to be among the nation's elite. But Lehigh and Navy, and you see some teams that maybe haven't had the results record-wise, like a Colgate.
Sure.
But they go. We played them to a 2-goal game here, and then they upset Lehigh, and then I haven't even mentioned Boston, who's amongst the top 15. So some great players. Lacrosse is driven. There's a lot of really high academic institutions that do well in lacrosse, and the Patriot League offers that academically, and then this opportunity to play at the highest level. So great players, and then I can tell you this: some of the very best coaches that we have to coach against all year are right there in the Patriot League. Tremendous coaches. No
doubt about that. We have a few more questions to get to, but I've got to ask you about something. I think Zach might have some footage of it. Do we have the footage of it, Zach? Okay, we're going to look. So they've become popular on social media. You go back to earlier in the year. The one from Cornell was great, and that's the post-game locker room celebrations for Army men's lacrosse. When I say that to you, the post-game celebrations in the videos, is there a level of embarrassment? Is there a level of being proud?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm proud of our guys. The one thing, it's always had a lot of excitement in our locker room. So I don't want to say it's something that's come with age.
Social media has taken it to another
yeah,
level, though.
Right. I mean, it's all been going on
Sure.
from the very beginning, but winning is so hard. It's so hard. It's just so hard to do, and the investment that these guys make to be victorious. I just make a promise to myself that we'll make the corrections on Monday, but we're going to be really, really excited about it afterwards. And it's kind of taken a little life of its own, with the social media. It's always kind of been what we've done, and kind of a little reward for all of us to have a little dance party for a few minutes afterwards.
So Joe, you and I go back. I actually remember the first day you were called about the Army job. I think it was June of 2005. Tina wants to know, what has it meant to be the coach at West Point for so long and to raise your beautiful family, literally seeing them grow up here at West Point?
Yeah, a blessing of a lifetime, Rich, and there's no doubts about that. I mean, I'll start with the family side of it. My son came here, Max, when he was 2 years old. My daughter was born here. For them to be able to go through West Point schools from pre-K all the way up through 8th grade in this sort of environment, it's aspirational living is what it is. You just are around the cadets and the parents. I couldn't ask for anything more for Peacher and I to be able to raise our children here. From a professional standpoint, one of the things that we wanted to do from the very beginning is honor the tradition that was forged here before us, and the great men who played.
Sure.
Not only great players, but the great men. And the way we wanted to do that is by building upon the tradition.
Absolutely.
That's the way we would honor it. And the fact that I'm only the sixth coach here since 1929 is not something that's lost on me. And it wasn't when I was fortunate enough to be selected as the head coach. And like I said, an honor of a lifetime. And those are my predecessor, Jack Emmer, one of my mentors. Big shoes, and Coach Edel and Coach Adams and Coach Pisano, Coach, Moore's Touchstone. I mean, I don't know if I mentioned Coach Adams. I mean, these guys are all in the Hall of Fame. So it just really is from a professional standpoint, the place that I've always wanted to work, and I've been really fortunate to be here for 17 years, and hopefully we can stay a little longer.
I will always remember look on your face, your son Max, 2010 Patriot League championship and the trophy. That's one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That was no doubt.
We'd like to have that now. He's a grown man. It looks like
absolutely.
Now, so we'd like to have another one of those.
And a little lacrosse career of his own too.
Yeah,
so
okay for himself.
and no doubt about that. Army Navy men's lacrosse Operation Max Out Mikey coming up on Saturday noon here at Mikey Stadium, West Point. Go armywestpoint.com/tickets. Tickets start at just $12. Also, you can give a phone call, 877-TIX-ARMY. So another question. Celia wants to know, how do you handle senior day with this senior class on Saturday with the emotions high, it being the Navy games? Like a senior day, that's emotional in itself. Throw Navy on top of it. How do you handle that?
There's no question. There's a lot that goes into it, and that's why we're prepping our guys. I keep coming back. The main thing is the main thing, which is about playing well. But it's really important in our program to honor the seniors. It falls on our last game, so we'll do that, and we'll do that respectfully. For me personally, it's I don't know that I've made it through a senior line without tears in my eyes, but I'm just so thankful and filled with gratitude for all that these 19 have given to our program, and I'm just hoping that we have more time together and after this home game, and work hard to maybe earn some more home games.
Last question. We're going to end on this one. Charles wants to know, what does family mean to Army men's lacrosse?
Yeah, so family is what we break every huddle with and have since 2005. It just is a big part of who we are and the brotherhood that they have. I've always felt, Rich, that if you have that safety net, if you have that place to come from that is so supportive of you and will do anything for you, that you're just going to be at your best. And our guys over the years have really put their arms around that. And there's a real family in the locker room. There's no doubt about that. But it gets so far extended. Our ORs are unbelievable and a huge part of our family. Of course, the coaching staff is a huge part of the family. But then our alums, our alums are amazing in what they do and the communications that they have and the backing they have for our guys. And, so it becomes, the family just becomes bigger than just what's in the locker
Absolutely.
room. Our players' parents and families are, all part of the family, and it's been an amazing experience. They've been incredibly supportive throughout the years, and some of the these guys, their best friends for life are the guys who got the locker next to them.
Operation Max Out, Mikey. Joe, what is it going to mean to see the Army fans, to have thousands here on Saturday for this kind of game? As a coach, I know you try to block everything out. What does it mean for the effort being put in to make this place all Army coming up Saturday?
Well, I'm so thankful to our administration for making that happen.
Absolutely.
If you see a successful program, it really doesn't have much to do with just, it's not anything to do with the coaches or just the players. There has to be resources, and that comes from your administration. So, our administration, I've been very blessed throughout my time here and continuing under Mike Buddy and Mike Harity to provide for our guys to be a national championship level type of team. And, this is just another one of their efforts in terms of packing that and allowing our players to kind of feel that encouragement and that sort of support. So I think it's going to be a great day. And, I think you step outside of the football realm, this Army-Navy game is as big as it gets around here. So it'll be a great crowd, and hopefully we give them a lot of great play to see.
Joe, it's going to be great on Saturday. Best of luck. Thank you for spending time here tonight. I know you had to hustle over here, so we appreciate it on our inaugural Army Men's and Women's Lacrosse Coaches Show. Joe, thank you so much.
I appreciate the time, Rich. Thank you.
Big weekend coming up on Saturday at noon at Mikey Stadium. Army Men's Lacrosse taking on Navy for the Star. Tickets on sale. 877-TIX-ARMY. Go Army, westpoint.com/tickets. Then at 2:30, the Army Women's Lacrosse team on the road at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium in Annapolis to take on the Midshipmen at 2:30. Both games televised by CBS Sports Network. Lots of thank yous to pass along tonight. Zach Daly keeping us on the air, pushing all the right buttons here on Facebook Live. Bree Vargas setting up a great experience for our fans and our staff members who have come out here tonight. We'd like to thank Noto family head coach of Army Women's Lacrosse, Michele Tumolo, and Army Men's Lacrosse head coach Joe Alberici. Rich DeMarco saying so long. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night, everyone.